being recorded, but I'm pretty sure you already knew that one.
Yep.
All right, so we're recording. This is the second MMA Island exclusive with Slick Diaz. It is April 16th, 2020. We're here with the legend, the bully, Gray Maynard. Thank you. The boys down at MMA Island really appreciate you giving us some of your valuable time to shoot the breeze, my man.
All good, man. Glad to be on.
Awesome. So first things first, I'm just curious. Your fight name came from the type of dog you owned? That's just hilarious, man. A bull terrier?
Yeah, a little bull terrier. I got him in college when I went to Michigan State. Kind of acquired him, stole him. A guy was kind of mistreating him, and I said, y'all, is it cool if I take him for a walk? I kept him. And anyways, like, we went to college, and he was just a tough dog. Like, he came from, like, the ghetto, so he was mean and tough.
And I practiced. Smarts.
Yeah, he had the street smarts. And, I kind of was the tough guy in the practice room. I went hard, and it just kind of stuck. It was a joke. You guys are the bully because it was a bull terrier. You guys are bullies. And it just kind of stuck. And that's how the nickname came about. And then I kind of changed it up, dropped the nickname like when he died in 2013, I think.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he was old. He was like 13 years old. And so,
That's a pretty good life for a dog. I mean, I have big dogs back home, Hungarian sheepdog, and they live to about 13 max.
Yeah.
That's it's just such a funny story. It's one of the most wholesome nickname origins I can think of in the sport.
The bullies.
So how's this? I'll call it bully lockdown instead of bully beatdown. How's bully lockdown treating you, Gray?
Bully lockdown. I mean, to be honest, not much has really changed, like, in our life, because we got a 2-year-old, a 7-year-old, and we always eat at home, like, regardless. We're kind of health conscious about our food, and we don't eat out too much. Got a sauna in my office. I'll take you through a little tour.
All right. MTV Cribs, Gray Maynard.
Yeah, so this is our dining room, right?
All right.
We got double end bag. We got a rope I hang up. We got punching bag. We got rings. We got mats.
Man, you got the whole setup.
Yeah, then in here,
that's where the food's made.
This is my office. I got a sauna. I do that every morning. It's my sauna. And then let's go in my garage. So, garage time.
All right.
This is how we roll in our garage.
Man, every room's a different workout room.
Yeah, we got Airdyne, treadmill, rower, glued hams. We got a machine here that does a lot of different stuff.
You got the bike rack there?
Yeah, we got the bike rack. We do a little biking. Got the pull-up bars. Got the dips. Got the Bulgarian bags, the Bulgarian slam balls. We got the box jumps. So
man,
that's how we roll in this house, man. That's my quarantine.
Yeah.
Training.
So how many hours you training a day, you think?
I mean, you can't train too many hours. I just get in a good one, and then like, if I pass by the pull-up bars, I'll hit some pull-ups every now and again, but every day I get a good workout in, get a sauna in the morning, and then the gym right now is just more for the kids to play, wrestle around, and start kind of understanding their body a little bit and play on the rings and, punch the bag.
Get that athletic type of sensibility going on.
Yeah, just body awareness,
How many
mostly.
kiddos
you got? Just two.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now that this whole quarantine thing's going on, are you doing much road work, or are you just relying on the bikes and rope and stuff for cardio?
I mean, I still like going on a little jog here and there, but as far as my workout goes, it's usually in the office or the gym, and I do like airdyne and then like circuit stuff and or treadmill, and then if I go on a run, it's more on my own, just go on a run or a bike ride.
Yeah, definitely.
Possibly working on a plan to do a bike ride after the quarantine's lifted, drive up to Canada and bike all the way down to Mexico.
Oh my God! Wow.
Yeah.
The first time I ever hopped on a plane was that direction. I hopped on a plane from Texas to Minnesota, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Man, that's a long ass ride, my friend.
1,850 miles.
Awesome. Yeah, that's. Let's see. I was about to pull them. Never mind. I was about to do some weird math in my head. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So today is April 16th, and in 5 days it will actually mark the 14th anniversary of you making your professional MMA debut. It was against Joshua Powell in Title Fighting Championships 1. What do you remember about embarking on your MMA career back then? It wasn't long after that you signed with the UFC and stayed there until you parted ways with UFC last year in November.
Yeah. I've fought one other time before that, and that was in a sport fight in Portland, Oregon with actually went up against Evan Dunham.
Oh.
It was an amateur fight, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Nuts. And then he ended up coming down, and he trained with us for a long time.
Small world, right?
Yeah. It was good. Just like BJ Penn flew me out. I kind of got into a jiu-jitsu gym, and word got back to him. BJ Penn flew me out. Kind of got that bug of, just kind of MMA stuff. And that was probably 2006, maybe. Came back home and ended up getting with Jay Huron and Couture, like Mike Pyle, Forrest Griffin, and
the laundry list.
Yeah, I just jumped in there and started having a good time doing it, and they just tried to give me a couple of fights here and there. Randy got me that fight with Evan Dunham. It was his card up in Portland. And then Scott Casper, he had title fights in Iowa, and he just he took care of me. I was actually, instead of Josh Powell, I was actually supposed to go up against Tyrone Woodley in that fight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we both were kind of coming up, and like I remember Scott Casper hit me up, and he's like, "Hey, you want to go up against, Tyrone?" And I think we both were like, we'd rather go up against a striker, or a person that we can, because we didn't know too much about like striking, or we just knew how to wrestle. And, he wasn't on that card. I was, and I got that kid, Josh Powell. And then after that, Brent Weidman in a fight here in Las Vegas. He was actually on Bellator. He fought for the Bellator title a couple times, I think.
Oh, okay. So back then, what? Because in those early-ish days, there was not clear delineation necessarily yet of like what the solidified weight classes were, and like there were limitations on like what, like if you could fight at this or this, like just based on opportunity and availability. What weight class were y'all gonna fight at? 170?
Yeah, so I fought 70 for about 3 fights, and then the TV show happened, and I knew I could make that because I was at 157 my whole college career.
Truly one of my favorite seasons, by the way. It really
Good,
is.
yeah, it was a
Yeah.
good season, dude.
I mean, it's
Crazy,
just a classic.
a bunch of nutballs, huh?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me just look at my. Oh, so we hear a lot about UFC fighters that have a background or history with other guys in the sport. Like you're talking about your background with like BJ and then how you moved on. But so because MMA is such a small world, you hear about guys like John Jones and Colby Covington who are roommates and teammates in college, and you actually have a similar setup with Rashad, right?
Right. Yeah.
What was it like living with Rashad Evans?
Yeah. So he came in like my sophomore year. He went to junior college a couple years, and I remember I walked into the room when he just got there, and he was going up against this guy Corey Posey, and Corey Posey was a pretty tough kid, and anytime you get a new guy in the room, you always kind of want to test their mettle. And Corey Posey was putting it on him, and just because he was getting tired and he wouldn't let him stop. And I think they went like an hour, but what stood out about him was he just kept answering the scratch, just kept getting up, kept wrestling. I was like, I think I like this Rashad kid.
You could tell there was something about him.
Yeah, just he was tough, and he didn't make excuses, and he just, he answered the scratch every time, and just kept going, and then like we ended up, being close, and just pretty much roomed every every time we would travel, and like we were team captain. He was a good dude.
So back then, did y'all have any like premonitions or grand schemes of like one day life would be kind of how it is now? Y'all are both
No, not even close. We just talked about we just kept each other company like really well, cutting weight together, talking about what we were going to eat, and how we were going to party together afterwards, and after the NCAAs, and like wrestling's a sport where you bleed together. It's kind of like MMA, but it's every week. You're making weight together, and it's the most grueling sport you can ever go through if you go to college.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have the accolades for being a collegiate wrestler. You were a 3-time All-American at Michigan State.
Yeah.
I'm sure every time we hear a fighter talk about their wrestling background, they say how crucial it was for their MMA career. Did you think that did you think that the importance came from like just the discipline, or like the camaraderie, or just the hours you put in? What do you think is the most important thing you took away from wrestling?
And I tell this to, like, if I do a camp or something, I think wrestling, everybody should do it. You go out on the mat, what you put in is what you get out, and it really teaches kids that aspect of like not just sports but life. You can't blame your team, you can't blame anybody but yourself, because you went out there on your own, and it really prepares you for whatever you choose to do after the sport, and how to put in the time, whether it's your marriage, whether it's your job, whether it's your company, whether it's another pro sport. We have this like opportunity to do MMA now, and I think that we do great because we get in there and we learn the other aspects of the sport. We get into boxing gyms and we box and we take punishment, but we keep coming back. We keep coming back. We go to kickboxing gyms. We always want to learn and work and jiu-jitsu. And also with wrestling, it teaches you about your whole body, your body awareness. It's kind of like you're a gymnast, a combat gymnast,
Yeah.
and gymnastics is one of the greatest sports to teach kids about their body and how to move their
Definitely.
body. Yeah.
The dance too, like
Yeah.
Lomachenko, he does like
Lomachenko,
whatever kind of dancing.
Yeah. But it really teaches you a lot about your body and a lot about your heart and a lot about your mental, your mental toughness. So if I could tell people one sport to do to make your kids do, it would be wrestling.
Yeah, definitely. What you said about you put in, or like you only get out what you put in, kind of reminds me of what Dustin Poirier, I think, has a quote where he says, like you have, well, for a fight, he says you have 25 minutes to go in there and make life fair, regardless.
Yeah.
That reminded me a lot of what you said, like you only put in what you get out, paying it in full, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like a really important mindset that, like you said, you can apply to any walk of life. So
yeah,
I can totally see why you value it so much. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh yeah. Okay. So, what did competing on season 5 of The Ultimate Fighter do for you as a competitor and a person? Can you just tell me a little bit about it? Like favorite moments, relationships with fellow house members since it ended, cool or interesting things.
Yeah.
TV?
Yeah. I mean, I think our season wasn't really. There was a couple guys, on there that knew they weren't going to win, and they were trying to make a name through that aspect. But we had the majority of the guys that were on there trying to win and trying to just trying to beat people and try to get on, on the, after the show ended and keep going. And so there wasn't a lot of drama. There was a little bit of drama, but like it was good just to be with people that wanted to be the best, and it was good to go up against people that want to be the best because that brings out the best in you.
Yeah, pressure makes diamonds.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Seriously a pressure cooker. Do you think that's why they aren't making new seasons, because it's such a pressure cooker?
Yeah, I mean that was one of the best seasons. Like I feel,
without a doubt,
competition wise, just like all the guys that kept going and kept in there, But I think that it's hard to have a good season every year because it's not just about personality. It's about like being athletes, being a good competitor.
Top of the line.
And people want to watch good fights, and I think that's the pressure that's kind of building up now. Is people are starting to understand like fighting more and more and more, and they want to see good fights. And it's hard to produce that every time.
Yeah,
especially with people that are just a personality.
Absolutely. You can definitely, like, as a viewer, you can't necessarily tell because every fighter's got a certain edge to them, especially on the show. But it's like you can tell who the workhorses in the room are and who's kind of there for attention or this or that. But then again, you also can never like count somebody out just because you're seeing it through a screen. So for the audience, even though like y'all kind of knew who were the people in the room that knew they weren't going to win, I didn't like as a viewer, I couldn't tell the jack shit, man.
Yeah.
Let's see. Hold on. Sorry. Okay. What would you consider the proudest moment of your MMA career? You fought for the UFC lightweight title twice, and you've got some of the most famous fights in the book under your belt.
Proudest?
Yeah, just for you personally, like, what do you look back most fondly on?
I don't know. I guess proud isn't really, competing was just competing. I love doing it. It was, great to do. And it was always good to go up against the best competition, like whether I had a good camp or a bad camp, it didn't matter. It was always just nice going up against good competition and keeping me honest in the cage. But proud moments would probably just be training, because that's a lot of the stuff people don't understand that goes into the sport, is just how much we train and how much we bleed and sweat and we take care of our team and we put it in when they're in camp. They put it in for us if I'm in camp, and just how crucial it is. And then also like being a type of person that's always trying to evolve and trying to learn more about training. And that's one of what I'm proud of is just always like changing it up, always trying to evolve and passing it down, right? Passing it on to the team. I would hire coaches, and when I was going up against, the top guys, or even when I was on the undercard, I was always trying to get new knowledge on and not just striking and jiu-jitsu and wrestling. It was I wanted to know everything about nutrition, everything about, sleep, everything about recovery, everything about, and it was probably too much knowledge I tried to get because it's hard to keep changing up camps and to keep adding stuff.
Yeah, kind of overloading it.
Yeah, but it gave me the knowledge to where now I can help out guys and kind of tell them like what works and what doesn't work and help guide them to be the best that they can be.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Being proud of the stuff that's not necessarily like people didn't see, like the extra work put in and the knowledge transferred. That's the spirit of a true competitor. So I applaud you for that. That's a really nice notion.
Yeah.
I got one more fun question for you before we get to the community questions that people submitted for you.
No worries.
We'll get you out of here in like 5.
All good, man.
10 minutes.
We good.
So when I was doing some background research, I saw that you were actually in a movie alongside Ving Rhames.
Ving Rhames. Yeah, actually, that's Ving Rhames, Ernie Reyes Jr., George Takei.
Yeah.
There was like a bunch of people in there. It was cool.
It was called Money Fight or Art of Submission.
Money Fight, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It changed a couple times.
Yeah. What was that like getting to work with A-listers like that? Because you're around famous people like Dana White and other fighters and stuff, but like the acting world, that's something completely different.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean they're just kind of normal people, going through their struggles and going through their stuff and Ving Rhames is he's played in a lot of movies, and he's a vet. It's kind of like talking to me about this MMA. And I remember we were kind of standing in the cage one time and a couple of the extras asked him like, hey, can you take a picture? And he's like, nah, I can't. And I was like, why? Why can't you do that? And he's like, man, you don't know like where that picture is going to go, how it's going to turn up. Like, like he was really professional about that stuff and honest and he's a professional about his career and he knew what he was doing.
You don't really think about that stuff. That's really responsible, especially when you're so in the public sphere.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So our community question.
The chick was hot too.
What'd you say?
The chick was hot too. That asked him for the picture.
I'll have to check it out. Like I didn't know about it until yesterday, so I haven't gotten the chance, or I don't know where to find it either. But
yeah, it was fun. got to work on a movie, and like I was kind of the lead bad guy.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
See, I don't take you as a bad guy. Now I have to see your acting chops. Now I got
Yeah,
to
yeah,
check it
yeah,
out.
yeah. Check it out.
All right. So our community questions come from Instagram today because nobody wanted to respond on Twitter. So we
Okay.
got one from our very own Update Island, which is one of our little cohort. Who did you look up to while in the process of becoming an MMA fighter?
Of course, Randy Couture. He was probably my he's probably the biggest guy that I kind of took a lot off of, and um, Couture, Forrest Griffin. He was just getting big when I got into it, but he gave good. He kind of told it how it was, and he kind of helped steer me in a couple directions. Couture, he was big, of course. Mike Pyle, Jay Heron.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as like looking up to people, I've always been a competitor. I started competing when I was like 3 years old, in
You see those
wrestling.
top guys and you're like, that's not my idol. That's like a guy I want to beat.
Yeah, yeah. So I never I looked at GSP as like as competition. I respected him as competition. When Edgar was coming up, even BJ Penn, like he was my buddy, and he helped me get going. But when he was on top of the world, that was competition, and I mean, I didn't really look up to a lot of guys. I looked at what they did good and what they did bad, and tried to navigate like my career and my style to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a pretty poised mindset for an up and coming fighter. It's probably easy to get distracted by the glitz and glamour of like a long reigning champion or something. Be like,
Yeah,
whoa.
because we build these guys up, and I probably learned it through wrestling, like cadet nationals or junior nationals, coming up in like 8th grade, where it's like this kid he's unbelievable. He's tough. He's won 3 national championships, but he's a kid like me. He's got 2 arms, 2 legs, a heart, a mind, and
Yeah.
there's no reason I shouldn't beat him. And that's kind of where we come up with that mindset is, growing up, that once I got into MMA, and that might be what makes us good is you get into MMA, it's like, these are my idols, these are competition, and like, yeah, I can draw stuff off them that I want to take, that's good, but like, other than that, I'm trying to beat this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. This is from J. Very Rare. Interesting name. What do you do what do you do after the fight, in the morning after a fight? How do you relax after a battle?
Oh man, yeah. It just depends how beat up you get.
Yeah.
There's times you're just laying in bed, like, let's just get room service. Yeah, I've had competitions where it took me 2 weeks to heal. To walk right, to talk right, even. And there was competitions to where I was good that night, and got up a little stiff, but nothing too crazy.
Interesting. So I like, because I don't train or compete, but I don't remember what season it's on. Kind of on that topic, that one guy got knocked out, or he like got I think he got clipped and dropped, maybe knocked out. But then he talks about, like, the next day he comes into the house and he's like, oh, like, I'm rattled, like I can't like even talk or think right. Like, so that's actually one of the moments where I was like, I don't know, like, what this guy like. So that's a real thing, huh?
Well, I mean, I've never really been like concussioned to where, um, my brain's hurting me. There's bumps on my head to where it's like, damn, I can't believe I got hit back there.
Yeah,
but
you got like a knot or whatever.
Yeah, I've known a lot of people who've really dealt with a lot of concussion stuff. I've never really dealt with that, But as far as like peeing blood and legs being beat up and like not being able to move my back or whatever, yeah, that's happened. But like, no, I've never or like one of my worst injuries was when I fought Edgar the first time. Broke my hand, but also he hit me in my eyeball, and it was like a scratched cornea or something.
Yeah.
And it messed me up in the fight. Like there was 2 or 3 of them, pretty much the whole fight. But the pain, it was horrible. But the pain it caused for like 2 weeks, you just didn't want to get up out of bed. Like it was just your eye was just, it was terrible.
Which hand did you break, and what round did you break it in?
My right one in round 1.
Oh God, that's the worst. So you were just like, well, here goes nothing. I'm carrying this bad boy out here.
Yeah, that was in our first fight.
Oh yeah. So and then you had the second scrap as well. And you did you have any? Did you have another thing like that in the second fight, like a little thing that happened in the fight, and you're like, oh, damn it, not again?
Yeah. No, we had 3 fights. So.
I misspoke. My bad.
Yeah, the second fight was a draw, and
that's right.
Nothing really too crazy. No, just we were sore. I was definitely sore after that fight. He got a couple kicks in. My leg was messed up, I think. But and then on the third fight, he got that TKO in round 4. So.
In Houston,
Yeah, but it wasn't. I was all right after that.
I mean, hey, as a fan, thank you for those fights with Frankie Edgar. Man.
Yeah, no problem.
So you had trilogies with 2 guys, 2 legends of the sport, huh? You had a trilogy with Nate Diaz as well.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Someone actually asked if you could reflect on your wars with Nate Dog Diaz.
So Nate Diaz,
this is from Just Bleed. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, we fought on the TV show, and I remember both of us. It was the end of the TV show. It was the last day. You just wanted to get out of there, and like we were pretty cool. We were cordial, and we didn't have any problems. And it was on the last day of the TV show, and they kind of sprung it on us that it was a 3-rounder, and because we always fought 2 rounds.
It was the 2 and then the 7 elimination, or not yet?
No, not yet. It was just a straight 3 rounds.
That's right.
And Jens Pulver, he did like a good job. He coached his team. They were in shape. They were prepared to go. BJ Penn, it was more of a technical. He's good at technique. He taught a lot of technical stuff. There wasn't a lot of like sparring or hard training. He just taught a lot, and people like Joe Lazone, was good with that, but I like to train. Anyways, I kind of had that in the back of my mind, just kind of knowing like this dude Nate, he's a goer, and hopefully I'm in shape instead of like I know I'm in shape. Hopefully I'm in shape. Anyways, I think it was in round 1 or round 2.
Let's see.
He caught me in a guillotine. But,
it was round 2.
Yeah. And like round 1 was a good round for me, just kind of ground and pound, a lot of ground and pound. good stuff. And then in round 2, we just got in a scramble. I think cardio was kind of playing a little bit, there. And then we ended up fighting again. We both were kind of going for the title, or maybe I was. Can't remember. But anyways, I was mentally prepared. I was, I just I really knew Nate Diaz. You had to go in there, just prepared all around, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Just knowing that it's going to be a war,
Yeah.
Regardless. And the second one, I just kind of left no stone unturned. I cardio was there. Just
you took him to the bitter end of the fight.
Yeah, just whatever I needed to do to kind of take care of it. And then third fight was
it was in Vegas. It was the Rousey.
It was in Vegas. Yeah. And so I was going through a lot of stuff there. I was up at AKA. I was remodeling a house. I was just had a baby. So as far as excuses, I guess you can kind of call it that. Just wasn't as prepared.
I think that when people talk about excuses that fighters make, people don't realize that these at least in my opinion, it's you can't just ignore you can't ignore the other parts of your life. So sometimes you're gonna get caught being focused on other things, and it's not that you're a lackadaisical competitor or your head wasn't full, the passion wasn't there. It's just sometimes it happens, man. Life comes at you fast.
Yeah, definitely. Anyways, I bought this house up in Santa Cruz, and California, it's expensive. And I got in way too deep. It was it's like the worst house on the best block, type of deal. Started remodeling it, started tearing stuff out, and it was pipes, and it was electrical.
Shit, all my money's gone.
Yeah, all the money was gone, and to be honest, I was doing it all on my own too. And anybody that's remodeled the house know how time consuming it is.
I've helped with a few remodels. I know.
Yeah, and so I was working 8 hours a day while I'm in training camp on my house, and then I got Nate Diaz there too.
Busy.
Yeah. So it just wasn't an ideal camp. It wasn't, and that was kind of how it played out for the next couple of years, because I got in way over my head with that house, and new baby on board, and just the way life works out, and you learn off it.
Yeah, man. I mean, not everyone can be full. If someone was fully in it all the time, even somebody who's undefeated, like Khabib Nurmagomedov, he's in it all 100% of the time. But then, because of his life, because of his religious obligations and duties, he takes a little bit of time off every year sometimes. So there's a give and take with it. Every single person has life pulling at them.
Yeah. Hindsight is 2020, and I would have took a lot more time off.
Yeah.
Once I did that, but I wasn't making millions of dollars. I wasn't even making hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that's just the way the UFC is.
Yeah. Man, it feels like except for the cream of the crop, at least on the internet, it kind of points to the fact that fighters still kind of aren't getting paid as much as they should be for comfortable.
No.
These fighters should probably unionize soon.
Yeah, I really. So I worked on a couple movies and a couple TV shows, and
actors guilds.
Yeah, Screen Actors Guild is okay, it's a union, but it's not a players union to where, but it kind of all the extras, they are on a wage that that can't go below whatever it is. Well, that's how the undercards,
Yeah.
could be. And then like I still get checks, from a couple movies, a couple TV shows. I haven't got one check off that Edgar fight ever, except for when I did the fight.
Yeah.
So
That's crazy, man.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
those exist. People get people get to go back and watch all your shit. So it's kind of weird that you don't get royalties
nothing,
for each and every.
nothing,
In a
nothing.
perfect world, man. In a perfect world,
Yeah,
all
in a
you would be
perfect world.
rolling in too much dough.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But the Screen Actor Guild, it'd be great if we could be a part of that, and get paid off our just like the movies and the TV shows. Like I know a lot of extras who are still getting paid off big movies that they did a long time ago.
Oh, absolutely. Some of my professors in college, they're still getting they're getting checks from stuff they did in their 20s.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, because I went to acting school, so
yeah.
So my professors were all actors, and they're like,
yeah,
I still get paid for stuff I did when I was first starting, and it's
yeah, yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
I'll ask you a few more, then I'll let you go, Grace.
No worries.
So gracious with your time.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on the lightweight rankings right now? It's very healthy right now. Who catches your eye?
Tony Ferguson is just he's a nightmare, absolute nightmare. Like those are one of those guys that you wake up at 3 a.m, that week of like, fuck, I hope I'm ready. Fuck, I hope I'm ready to. He's kind of like a Nate Diaz.
Oh, because he's just got that sinister feel, like not that.
Yeah.
He's got that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Nate Diaz is just the type of guy that you can punch. Even Edgar, and those are those ones that you just have to be mentally prepared, physically prepared. But then you got his awkward style and just his relentless attitude. And Khabib, I love. I got to train with him a little bit up at AKA, and I love his style.
Yeah,
he's a beast. Poirier, he's got hands and he's improving, and Conor McGregor's Conor McGregor. I really, I kind of feel like Conor is one of the greatest strikers, ever, like in MMA. But as far as being well-rounded, I don't think he's even close.
Yeah. So how much stock do you put into his brown belt under Danis? Is it under Danis?
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, I don't really put any stock in MMA in the belts. It's just how you use it. The big joke is, you turn a black belt into a white belt with a couple punches on top.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of what happened to him when he went up against Chad. Is he was getting lit up on top.
Oh yeah.
When he was on bottom, and
it got ugly for a second.
It got ugly, but here's the thing that people don't know. That was Chad Mendes was in New Zealand hunting, like when he got the call, out of shape.
Oh yeah,
so
less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, less than 2 weeks. So like if you're doing a wrestling game plan, you need 12 weeks to get your cardio like ready for that.
Because you have to keep pushing.
I mean, it's just the hardest. Wrestling is the hardest thing you can do in MMA. Hardest.
Yeah.
As far as cardio wise.
Well, because you have to constantly build up a wall and break it. Build up a wall and break it.
Yeah, well, you're constantly using every muscle in your body and going up and down. And anyways, he gassed, and anybody that knows like wrestling and the sport of MMA, knew why he gassed. He didn't have the time to prepare.
So do you think are you saying that you think if it was a full camp, you think Chad would have beat him?
I think he definitely had the possibility. Yeah.
Oh, Chad's extremely
Yeah.
talented.
I think
He's overlooked by fans now,
that
but
yeah. Because I mean, honestly, what wrestlers did he go up against before Chad?
man, let me pull it up real quick.
Yeah.
Because I can't really think of one. That was his first like big test for it, as far as I can remember.
Yeah, but how is that a test when the guy's like on 2 weeks?
Yeah, well, the same thing with his comeback versus like a guy like Cowboy, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, all respect in the world, I think Cowboy's one of the most talented and impactful fighters we've had in the UFC. Like in my opinion, but
yeah, I think the biggest problem with Cowboy is he just doesn't like those big fights, you know.
Yeah, he didn't fight a wrestler before this in the UFC. I mean, because he had Brimage and he had Seaver, and he had Poirier and Brandau and Holloway. Mendez was his first super wrestler. Yeah, that's interesting. I never thought about that.
And then after, he didn't really have any wrestlers.
Well, until he got to the big one.
Khabib, right?
the super grappler extraordinaire.
Yeah,
he's mind blown, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, he's a beast.
This can be the last question.
No worries.
We got two more, both on the same
line.
How does the top 5 in the lightweight division in 2013 do against the top 5 lightweights today? Because a lot of people talk about the changing of the old guard to the new guard and how everyone's so much more talented nowadays. But to liken it to a different sport, I think Jordan's all-time better than LeBron, and that's, you know what I mean? Like I'm more of a back in the day kind of guy. So I don't see that the sport has changed and passed people up. I think that people back then would still have done just as good.
Yeah. Who was the top 5?
It was, according to Bruce Buffer's microphone, the guy who asked the question, his list said Benson, Gilbert Melendez, Anthony Pettis, you, and Nate Diaz.
Okay.
The lightweight right now is Hooker, Poirier, Gaethje, Tony, Connor, and Khabib.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you got Benson. He dude's well-rounded, got cardio, you know.
He'll push it to the end.
Yeah, dude. You know, it's hard to call. It's hard to call a fight. Look, man. Like, paper is paper, right? You got 2 names on paper. Like, this paper will beat this paper, but paper doesn't fight paper. You know what I'm saying? People fight. And that's the great thing about MMA is, you know, you never really know until people go up against each other. And I know as you know, a spectator and stuff, it's got to be great, like, trying to figure out who's going to beat who, you know. And sometimes it's more obvious, but, like, once you get to the top 5, it's more styles. It's more, you know, it could even be a good camp and a bad camp. Like, who has drama in their life at the time? You know? I mean, we're not, even the top 5, we're not getting paid enough to where we can just, you know, put the drama out. Like,
definitely.
Like, oh yeah, our house is paid off, our cars are paid off, everything's paid off, you know, bills are still rolling in. And
there's very few that do have it like that.
Yeah, you know, I know Khabib's making it to where, you know, he doesn't really have a lot to worry about. But, you know, other than that, even if you're making a couple $100,000 on you know, on a competition, that goes quick after you pay for camp, after you pay for your manager, after you pay for taxes, after you pay for all this shit, dude. Like, it's gone in a year. You know, you're like, what the fuck happened to it?
That's the nature of big boy money.
Yeah.
You have big
And
boy money, but then you have big boy expenses.
yeah, you know, and you could not even be living big boy, but like, you know, taxes, managers, coaches, you think about that. That's 10% to the manager, 10% to coaches.
Well, no, I think when you start employing people, like when you start having a team that you have to pay, even if you're not living lavish, that still is like that's like, oh my God,
Yeah.
what a tree of finance that I have to supplement.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
You know, and then you go to the NFL, like I know people who play for the NFL. Man, their coaches are paid for. They don't have to pay for coaching. They don't have to pay for food. Each team like has their own meals and whatever. They don't have to pay for nothing. We got to pay for our massages. They go to the locker room that they're in, and they have massages there. They got everything they need on site.
Yeah.
So people don't really get it, like how little we get paid and how much we have to pay
Yeah, well, it's
to
kind of
get our
like
shit taken care
the
of.
fight game's kind of like the government. It's like, oh, you made a
Yeah.
purchase, pay me. Oh, you
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
pay
yeah,
me.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Wow, man,
Everybody's got their hand in your pocket,
what a perspective.
and they
That's
deserve it,
crazy.
man, because they went through it, and you know, you just have to deal with it, and you got to pay them, you know.
Absolutely.
But then you lose, and that's half your paycheck.
So what happens when say you lose and you take half of your paycheck and you say you're like, oh well, I actually have this much instead of this much, so do we reevaluate or do you pay them regardless of?
Yeah, usually people are on a percentage, you know, but
Oh,
still
I
it's
see.
it's
Of
it's the
the
same
total. Okay.
percentage. Yeah, yeah. So it's the same percentage,
I'm
and it's like
financially
fuck.
illiterate, so
Yeah, it's all good.
um this is our last question. We were just talking about how you can't really match up paper versus paper, but the people want to know what you think. If Tony Khabib happens, who you got, my friend? You don't have to, but a
Yeah.
prediction would be nice.
You know, honestly, Khabib's gonna be hard to beat. Um, but then again, you know, and this is a generic answer. You know, you can't count Tony out, right?
Yep. That's
On
exactly how
pa-
I feel.
on paper, he's easy to beat. Like he's got good, you know, a little good. He's got good jiu-jitsu. He's got some elbows, but like you watch him in like round 1, round 2, you know, he's getting handled or whatever, and then he just keeps coming. He just keeps coming. So on paper, like, yeah, it could be he should win, but you know, off paper, it's like this dude's mind and his heart and his attitude and his unorthodox, you know, style is tough to beat.
Definitely. This is how I've been explaining it to people because I always put up questions for people to ask me. Like, not that my
Yeah.
opinion means much. I'm just a fan, but people always ask me, who's going to win, Tony or Khabib? And I always put it like this: I wake up in the morning and I've convinced myself that Tony's going to win, and then I
Yeah.
go to sleep at night knowing that Khabib's going to win, and then
Yeah.
like it's just
Yeah.
an endless cycle.
Yeah. No, it's gonna be one of the most anticipated fights, you know, of the history. I hope they get paid off it. You know, I hope everybody gets compensated the way that they need to get compensated, and you know, I hope it works out that way.
Yeah, me too. The whole MMA world's kind of looking forward
Because
to
I
that
think the
one.
fight's the fight, and it's going to be a great fight, and even if it's not, you know, the anticipation was just like unprecedented as far as like how many times it's had to be put off and
Biggest
why
build
it's
up
had to
in
be.
history almost.
Yeah, for sure. You
Yeah.
know, so you know, and that falls on their table, you know, to where they should be able to capitalize on that. You know, like I know both of them have good managers, so you know, hopefully they do.
Yeah. All right, man. Gray. It was lovely to talk to you, my friend. That's
Yeah, man.
all I've got for you. If you guys want more content like this is our interview with Gray Maynard, the legend, the bully. You can make sure to follow MMA Island on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Follow Octagon Jones, Slick Diaz, me on Instagram and Twitter, and then Gray Maynard on IG and capital Gray, capital Maynard on Twitter. Gray Maynard on Instagram, right?
Gray Maynard, I think.
Yeah, people
That's
will
all
find
it
me.
is.
You got a blue check.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before you go, can I get this is Gray Maynard with MMA Island.
This is Gray Maynard with MMA Island.
Hey man, we appreciate it a whole lot. I'd love to talk to you again in the future.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I appreciate you, bud. Yeah, keep watching. All right, man.